Welcome to this video, where we'll look at triggering the Syncussion Plus drum synthesizer by Blue Lantern, specifically using the Piezo input. We'll look at using a handful of studio items that you could use to trigger the input, along with some things within our rack that we could use to trigger it. You jump to any section of the video using the time codes now, and let's get started. We could also trigger it like this. Though this video is about triggering, first I'd like to give a quick tip for when you want it to stop triggering. In some settings, like using the AM ring or sending CV to the VCA or just using a high sense setting, the module could seemingly go out of control. That's because the piezo circuit is just so super sensitive. When unpatched, it could pick up high levels of other things around it. A way to combat this from happening is to just plug an empty cable into the piezo circuit. That's just half of the steps, because you see, just holding the cable, I'm triggering it. It's just that sensitive. I don't even have to touch the tip. So what we want to do is plug into a constant 0 volt, just nothing source. Right now I'm just using the gate out from cells. So obviously if I hit the gate, it'll trigger the module, but I'm not using it right now. So it's great for just canceling out that inner piezo triggering. So I could just trigger it once and not worry about it going constantly and out of control. And that is not triggering. Here I'm using the contact microphone in Ears by Mutable Music Things to show that any output on the module can trigger the Syncussion Plus's piezo input. First with the regular audio output, then with the envelope output, and with the gate output. You see, with any output, even with a lower volume, we still get that triggering. At the lowest volume, we miss a few, but that's about it. Another thing we could use to trigger the Syncussion Plus, a cheap piano sustain pedal. It has two settings, PS15 and PS10, and we'll look at both of those. This is the output, so we need an adapter cable here, just a 1/4 inch to 3.5 millimeter, and we're going to plug this right into the piezo. First, I'm going to have it on the PS15 setting, and we'll see how this triggers. We get some triggers. But it's not consistent. Very, very inconsistent. But we're getting some, but we'll switch to the PS10. There we go. You can see the icon there for PS10, if that means something to you. And with this mode, we get consistent triggers every time the sustain pedal is released. While on the topic of pedals, let's also look at kick pedals for an electronic drum kit. Now, this is a really cheap pedal, and yours will probably work better than this one. We're going to connect it with our trusty friend, the 1/4 inch to 3.5 millimeter cable. And we can see it triggers each time we hit the kick. Now, the only thing that I've noticed with this kick, at least, is if you hold it down then with your foot and then let it up again quick enough, it'll trigger it again. So it could work to your advantage or to your annoyance. But if you do it quickly, it'll only trigger it once. That's a kick drum. Now let's try this out on some drum pads. It's the blue one. And if you're all out of everything else to manually trigger the module, you could even just use offset voltage. I'm just using the channel 3 from Maths here, which is at 0 volts right now. And when I turn it, if I turn it just fast enough, which is not even that fast. See, that was a little too slow, but if you could get the feel for it really quick. And you can manually trigger this real easy. With just an offset knob. And that's all for this video on triggering the Syncussion Plus. Now for a touch of music. If you wanna trigger me, you have to get me down. You have to scale it.